Oh God. Okay. So I don't know if you know this, but like Matt rarely ever like leaves the state of Nevada.
Yeah.
Like if you invite him somewhere, even to Mexico or something, you know, all expenses paid, which he normally pays for everything, he won't go.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason for that is secret, but I think there's more to why that doesn't
He doesn't
happen.
go.
But he always stays. And so Dick had told me that, and I didn't realize that this was during the same time that you guys were together and definitely not engaged, but that he had like a sugar daddy that was from the UK that had a place or was in New York City, and he went on it was an escort trip to New York, and that the guy paid him $10,000 to go there, and that he brought Matt with. And I think maybe he had told me that he brought Matt with because he was kind of sketched out a little bit, but that also Matt wanted to see New York, something along those lines. So they're together there. Dick does whatever the fuck he does when he's escorting, which I think we can all assume and guess. But $10,000 was like what he got paid, and he told me he did get paid that.
He did.
So yes, and so at the same time that he's in New York, okay, and he's on this escorting trip, and Matt's there. There's an individual who had reached out to me when we were married, and I was like, who is this person? And he's like, oh, it's this a friend I have in New York, separate from the sugar daddy, someone that's more close to our age. And I was like, oh, okay. So I look at this person's profile, I think it was on Instagram, and I'm like, well, it's a gay man, obviously. I'm like, okay. And I think because at the time I was actively knowing that he was doing adult content and having like virtual clients, that I was like, okay, this must be a past client. But he was asking for like a workout program from us. And this was in 2022. And after Dick and I broke up, because I think he paid for the workout plan, but I don't think Dick ever sent him one. And so after we broke up for good, I think that I had reached out to him and I was like, hey, you know, I just want to like say, you have always been really nice to me, and I'm sorry that he like fucked you over like that. And he's like, yeah, he's been doing that to me since like we met a long time ago. And I was like, yeah, tell me about that, you know, because here I am kind of being a little bit of a reporter now. And this individual said that he met Dick on Grindr. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And I know for certain that it was the same time because he said that he met Dick and Matt while they were in New York, because that's where he lives, on Grindr. Grindr, girl. I was like, wait a minute, because I always wanted to find him on there so bad. And I never did. And I was like, are you for real?
Whoa.
Yeah. So think about that. So he's not paying your bills, your mutual bills, and then gets 10 grand. But he's buying shit on your credit card when he probably already has cash in hand.
Yes. Yeah.
And you wouldn't have known, none the wiser that he had that money and that he was paid that money, because did he ever talk about his personal finances with you, like being transparent?
I mean, I saw like money coming in from like Cash App and things like that, but he said that they were always like people buying um like workout plans. And so I never questioned it. But it all went onto like our one mutual account. Like he didn't have another like card. So like if you opened his wallet, I remember it was like a very plain wallet, and it was just like his ID, that Capital One card, and then I think we were with United or something like that. Something like that.
That's so wild.
So
Well, I
when
guess
he
that's a
came
good
back,
excuse because if you saw the Cash App coming through and it was just a bunch of dudes, you would just be like, yeah, like they're paying for a workout program. And you're not the kind of person
yeah,
who's like Snoopy. So
no,
you're
I'm
not going to
not.
like look
Yeah.
at the amounts and all of this shit. So, okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
And you want to believe him. We always want to believe him because we want to see the best
Yeah.
in people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so he goes to New York, tells me last minute. Um, I decided that I was going to pack up my shit and go to my parents' house. And I told them, like, if you leave for New York, like, I will leave to my parents' house and I don't know when I'm coming back. But I'm not going to stay here. I don't like it here. And that's that. And he was like, I love you. Like, I'm just doing this for us. And, you know, it's for us to get like ahead and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I don't know. So I did. I went to my parents' house. Um, yeah, I went to my parents' house and I was trying to do a timeline in my head. So yeah, I went to my parents' house and I stayed there for like, I want to say like a week. And Dick doesn't fly, he like caught a flight out to Phoenix because I was not answering him. And I was just like extremely short with him. And I think he could tell that like I was probably like not dealing with it anymore. And so he was like grasping for straws. And of course, he like figures out how to get me to go back with him. I
Which,
drive
what,
back.
how did that work?
I don't remember. I think it was just like, this is like what I want and I'm sorry. And, you know, I fucked up and I went to New York to like get this for us, like to be better. And um, just like total gaslighting and like turning it around on like that it's me that's feeling insecure. And I was like, okay, like I'll go back. This is it. Like if you do it again, I'm leaving. Like I am leaving. I will pack up my shit and I will go.
I have one question that just
So
sparked something for me. You saying that he made it feel like you were the insecure one. Was there a lot or any like verbal abuse or like degradation or just putting you down in any way?
no,
No?
no. In fact, he was always very sweet. Like he cried a lot.
Yeah.
Like he would cry and say like I love you so much. And like he had a big like vision board and like every morning he would leave me like a nice little note on it. And like um but no, not really. But I guess I've really never had like, I've always taken care of myself. I've never been like a gym rat. I not like a girl who has like a bunch of muscles, but I've never been like chubby either. So I've just kind of felt fine. I've always felt okay. Um, you know, like the area that I struggled with like the most was just like feeling like I wasn't enough for somebody, like,
Yeah.
you know,
But
as
so
a little
what
girl.
would he I guess what Joanna had said, which I kind of realize now looking back that he did this to me too, was that he would take the things that he really initially loved about me and her, and I think all the other ones a little bit too, like Ambry with her being so independent with business and stuff, and then use it against us in a way. So like me being really good at marketing, or Joanna writing, like he would be like, that's stupid, you're not good, like these kind of things to kind of put us back in our place a little bit if we ever grew to be like equal with him, or more or better, more successful than him in any way. It was always something to knock you down.
Mm-mm, not
No, that's
really. Like, not that
good.
I can recall.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that he didn't do that kind of stuff to you. And I would venture to say that it's because that um you're a fighter. Like
Maybe.
I think that he beats down verbally the people who are diffusers, which definitely
Yeah.
Anna and me and Joanna are
Hmm.
diffusers for sure. So
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So he manipulated you or coerced you somehow to get you to come
Yeah.
back to Sin City.
Uh-huh. And I remember like I just kind of kept him at arm's length. Like I still was very much like I still very much wanted to be with him. I just wanted him to show me like actions. And I just remember like my dad and my mom just telling me like Savannah, actions always will speak louder than words. Like if his actions are not matching up with his words, that's when you need to say like this is it. And
Yeah.
so I just remember like I just kept telling him, I'm like, show me. Show me. You could tell me these words all you want, but like show me. So I want to say that he got me Winston, my English bulldog, which is really funny because he told me that he's like, let's go get you a dog. I think it'll give you a purpose and like make you feel like, we have something together, and let's go get you this dog. I want to say it was for Valentine's Day, or I don't remember, but it was like after we had gotten into that like fight and I just came back, and he was like, I think that it'll make you feel like you have like a purpose for something. And I was like, okay. So we went and looked at the dog store, and Winston was there, and Winston was my English bulldog. And um, he put him on my credit card. Um, Winston was
Shut up.
$6,700.
He put it on your
Yeah.
credit card. He
Yes, on my account.
still to this day, will be like, I bought that dog and that dog is mine and she stole
No, no,
it.
no. He put Winston on my credit card, and it was $6,700. I remember because I just looked it up right before we had our podcast, because I was like, I want to make sure. And yeah, so he was like $6,700. Of course, he like bought him all the things, like the little bed and like the this and the that, and like so it ended up being like close to like $7,500, because after you have like their first vet visit and like whatever, that like came with it, and then he got pet insurance because Winston was an English bulldog, and that breed usually has like a lot of issues, so they convinced us to do his pet insurance. So it was like $7,500,
But it was from a
and
pet store, you said, right?
yeah.
Okay, he told me that he like went to the best breeder for you.
No, it was from a freaking pet store down the street. Like, no. So we got Winston. I was in love with Winston. And I will say, like, Winston served his purpose. He was like my lifeline during that time. Um, and shortly after, um, yeah, okay. This is all coming back to me. Okay, so shortly after I got Winston, um, Dick had he had talked a lot of shit about this like EDC thing, and he was like, Matt keeps wanting me to go, and but like I don't even like EDC, and like I can't even do any of the drugs, and like I shouldn't be around that. Like he's not a big drinker, and like he would like talk about that, and I just remember being like, yeah, okay, like okay, yeah, like I don't think it's a good idea if you go either. Like I think that's really stupid, but whatever. And I was like, well, if you go, like I want to go with you. Like I I've never been to EDC before, but like I don't think that like that would be something that like you would go do if you were like a married, like going to be married man with
Yeah.
Matt of all people. And so I was like, okay, like whatever. Well, I come home that night, and oh no, he had taken me shopping earlier that day. So he was like, I'm going to spend the whole day with you. Like we have nothing to do today. I'm going to spend the whole day with you. So in the back of my mind, I was like, I this at this point I had gotten really like I didn't feel like stable in any part of our relationship, in any part like financially. So I was always like looking for something. Like I was constantly checking his location to make sure he wasn't at the gas station gambling. I was constantly checking our bank account to make sure that he wasn't draining the bank account. I was like constantly looking at his location to see if he was with Matt. And so I remember like, hey, like why don't we just spend the day? Like I think that we need to spend the day together. Let's hang out with Winston. Whatever. So we took Winston to the mall. There was like an outdoor shopping mall over there, and there was a couple of stores that I really liked. And he was like, "Whatever you want, babe, just buy it." And so I was like, "Okay." So I had gone shopping, and
With what
he,
money? Yours or his?
yeah, mine,
Yours. He took you
yeah,
shopping with your money.
yeah, on the Capital One card. That was like his card. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah, oh, I
that was
know.
his way of saying like it's me.
Yeah, totally.
So um so like he'd take me shopping. We went out, like had like a nice lunch, and we were going home, and I remember him like starting to pick a fight with me about something stupid. And I don't, it was something like in the In and Out drive through. Like I remember we were going through like In and Out because I think I wanted a shake or something. And we had just had lunch, and he like ordered animal fries, or I don't know, something stupid. And he was like pissed that they had ordered these like animal fries, but they came with like onions or something on it. And he was like, "These fucking idiots." And I remember being like, "Don't you dare go in there and talk to them like that. Like, that is so rude. You are not above them. Like, you need to handle yourself. Like, get it together." And he like started going off on me. And so we had like gotten home, and I just like felt like it was gonna be the day that he was gonna go. I'm like, I just knew it. Like in my head, I'm like, "You're gonna go to EDC." So we get home, he picks a fight with me about whatever. I don't even remember what the fight was about. And he was like, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm going to EDC." And I was like, "Of course you are." Like, of course you are. So he went to EDC. And that night I called our friend, and I was like, "Hey, I need to go back to Arizona. Can you watch Winston for me? Like, I can't travel with him in the car." And it was like probably 10 o'clock at night at this point. And she was like, "Yeah, that's fine. Like, you just drop him off. Just come back and grab him." And I was like, "Okay." So I drove to Arizona that night. I think I got in at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't tell him that I left. I just literally packed up some of my stuff and I went back to Arizona. And he like did come home. Like, he didn't come home. He didn't even realize that I was gone until like the next morning. And he like started blowing my phone up. I turned my location off, and I was just like, "I'm not doing this anymore." And of course he like starts doing all this stuff. Well, I tell my dad, I'm like, "Hey dad, can you come with me up to Las Vegas? I need to go get my stuff." And he was like, "Yeah." So my dad and I jump in the car. We go fit whatever we can. Mind you, like I'm driving this like little tiny BMW. Like it's not like I'm driving a big car, and I
Right.
don't really have like a lot to my name at this point. Like I don't have any furniture. I sold it all when I went and moved in with him. Like I just kind of had like my clothes, and so I grabbed my clothes. I grabbed the stuff for Winston, and I took Winston back to Arizona with me. And we were down there for like a week. And I just was like so torn because I was like, I don't know where I'm at in my life. Like, I don't even have a job right now, whatever. So I decided, I'm like, I'm going to go back. Why I went back, I don't know. But I was like, I'm going to go back. It's going to be fine. And I remember my mom and dad just being like, "Savannah, like, you don't owe him to go back. It's okay." And he, of course, was working his magic and was like,
Yeah.
making me think that like everything was fine and that he just whatever. So I went back after being in Arizona for a week, and then he he was like an angel for like a week, and then he had lied about something else, and it was like he was going to go to New York again. And I looked at him like straight in the face, and I was like, "If you go to New York, this will be the last time you see me. Like, this will be it." And he like started crying, and he's like, "I can't live my life without you, but I got to get us out of this hole," and yada yada yada. And I was like, "I will leave if you go to New York. Trust and believe I will leave." I was going to leave, and that was going to be the last time he saw me. And I just need to go for a drive. And he purposefully like parked his vehicle behind mine, and he would not move his car. And so I was like, "That's fine." So I took his keys, and I took his car to In and Out. And he was like standing behind me, and I just started like going because I was like, if you really want to get run over right now, like you're an idiot because I'm going to In and Out.
Yeah,
And
you can't make me stay. Hi,
yeah,
sorry.
like get out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So um I'm in the In and Out like drive through, and I remember I was kind of like scrummaging through like some of the paperwork that he had like on the side of his like thing, and I saw that he had printed out like a flight ticket to go. And I was like, you're trying to fucking tell me that you just booked this flight and you literally have a flight ticket right here? Like, be so for real right now. So I take a picture of it. I get home. He's like, no, I wasn't, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. And I was like, really, you're not going? So I like took it and I like ripped the paper up in front of him. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why the fuck would you do that? Like, started going off. And I was like, I thought you weren't going. So what's the problem? I thought you weren't
Yeah.
going. And he's like, you're trying to control me and this is crazy. Like, you're fucking
This is the
losing
guy
it.
that's standing behind your car and parks his car so
Literally.
you can't leave.
Yes. So we had a tandem garage. And so, like, I had to pull in first and then he pulled in behind me. And he would always make sure that his car was in the back because he has a thing about leaving. Like, he needs to leave whenever he wants to, right? But, like, if
Right.
I wanted to leave, it was like hell. So, I was like, move your car. And he wouldn't move it. So I was like, okay, I'm taking your car then. So, yeah, I get home and he was like, you're fucking crazy. And he had his bags packed like in the trunk. When I looked like later, I was like, really? Like, you're not leaving, but you literally have your bags packed like in your trunk? What? So, um, yeah. So I spent, he left that night and I like had blocked him on everything. And I packed up whatever I had left in my little BMW. I took Winston, and because I had told him, I said, listen, if you want Winston, you need to come home because I have nowhere to put Winston. Like, he can't go without food and water. And he goes, just put a big bowl of food and a big thing of water on the floor and he'll be fine until I get home. I said, well, how long are you going to be? He's like, 4 days. I'm like, you think that I'm going to leave a puppy in a house by himself for 4 days with no food, no water, and you can't even put him outside?
Yeah, that's what he
Be
thinks.
so fucking for real right now.
That's how
Like, of course
he
he thought that.
takes
Why would he not?
care of animals. That's how he took
Yes.
care. That's probably how he would have taken care of his daughter. Like, let's be
Yes.
real, you know?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
oh my God, 4 days. Okay.
So I gave him every chance. Like, if he wanted Winston, he could. But I also was like, you need to pay him off because I'm not going to leave Winston here if you have my credit card racked up to, at this point it was over our spending limit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I taking Winston. So I took him and he was like sending me like all these messages. You know, sometimes they would be like mean and then other times they would be really nice. And I didn't tell my parents I was coming back down because I was just so over it. I actually called my best friend and her family who I had lived with before. And I was like, I need somewhere to stay. I'm leaving Dick. And I have this dog with me and like I don't know what else to do. And so I actually lived with them from when I was in high school when my parents kicked me out. And so I moved in with them. And on my way home, like I'm driving down the road and I got two messages, which were crazy. One message was from one of my older friends, and she was like, hey, I've started working at this salon. I think that you would be a really good fit. Are you ready to work here yet? And she had asked me previously, but I was like, nah. And I was like, wow, impeccable timing. I'm actually on my way to move back to Arizona like today.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely come in for an interview. Like, let me get that set up. So I had gone back down. I'm like, at least I have some clients. I can start a job, rebuild my life. And I was just making it so that like I knew I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
And then the second message I got went to my message requests. And I didn't have like a large following at the time. So like I saw anything and everything that came through. Well, this message was like, hey, I don't know if you know, but your fiance is actually, or you may know him as Brett Michaels, but we know him as such and such.
Or opposite of that, you know him
Opposite.
as
Yes.
Dick. We know him.
You
Okay.
you may know him as Dick such and such, but we know him as Brett Michaels, and he's a webcam internet scammer. And I'm like, oh wait, a what? And he's like, he's a webcam internet scammer. Like he scammed me and like all these different people out of like thousands of dollars. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I can't believe that you would be so blind to this. Like, and coming at me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I don't even know what a webcam internet scammer is.
Yeah.
And he's like,
You're
oh,
like,
go look
who's
at this
Brett
website.
Michaels?
Yes. So I'm like, okay. So he's like, go look at this website. So I'm like driving, whatever. I go look at this website, and I'm like,
Is it the blog site with all the
girl, be
pictures,
so
like
fucking for real. It's like this, I don't even know, but I'm like,
pages and pages and pages and pages and pages?
yes, of people just talking mad shit about him and like how he's ripped them off. And girl, videos on there that I was like,
Yeah. The
be
yeah.
so for
Mhm.
real. Like, dude, you have a 10-inch dildo sticking up your ass and you like it. Like, something's wrong with you right now. You know, like, I cannot.
Did
So,
you see on that site, because there's something specific, they don't say your name or anything, but there's something specific about you and your relationship on there that's been on there since I don't know how, and it's not anything bad. I don't mean to like frighten you or anything, but did you see that he had made a GoFundMe for when you guys were getting engaged? He made a GoFundMe and had like posted something, and somebody alluded to it on there. It's still there. It says like, he's so pathetic, like he literally started a GoFundMe so that he could marry his girlfriend and buy her a ring.
what was the GoFundMe? Like, was
I
there like
don't
a
know,
sad
because
sob story?
I've been looking for it. I've been looking for that for a really long time. I've also been looking for the one that Kylie said that he started GoFundMe and lied that he was in a car accident. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, that he yeah, there was a GoFundMe for your ring. It was either for your ring or for your, like to fund your wedding or something, but he was like basically using your relationship as a pawn. um yeah. And
Oh
I mean,
my
if you look
gosh,
in there,
no.
it's timestamped, so you can see that it was definitely about you, and you're the only other person besides me and baby mama that had a ring, and you know that was the plan for. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh damn, I didn't know if that was something that you knew
Oh
about.
my. No. No, I
Did
did
you
not
ever?
know that.
Ooh, so was this person like that texted you this? Was it someone? Also, fuck them for like being like a victim shamer. Like I
Yeah.
don't. These people are just so. Truthfully, it's like I love gay men and have so many of them in my family, and like amazing.
Absolutely.
This whole experience with Dick really, really made me feel uncomfortable with having, I mean, with gay men. I thought all of them were out to get me and steal my husband, and that they were all like women haters like Matt.
Yeah.
So did you ever find out who that person was?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, it was like a fake. You could tell it was like a fake page that came on, like just to tell me that, because it didn't really have like, it had no followers. It had no like, I don't know. It was a fake page for sure. Because I was like, okay. But I just remember being like so shocked by like what I had just like learned about this guy, and I remember like spiraling, and I was like, oh my gosh, I better go get checked. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know who else he's been with, if this was going on like while we were together. And so like it's hard because I did know about like his previous like online thing, but I was thinking more like OnlyFans. And I've never like thrown shade at OnlyFans, but this is like a different level. Like, this is way different than like what I was expecting. And just to like scam people out of their money, like, I don't know. It was so disheartening seeing this. And So I like didn't tell anybody at first because I was like, I just need to process this. I'm gonna go home. I drove to Vegas. I moved in with my friend and her family, and again, and um, it was my like I went and had a job interview at the salon, and I got the job, and I started like a couple days later, and I was going to Starbucks like across the street, and like if there's like a four-way intersection, it's like my salon is here, um across the street, like across the intersection is like a Chase Bank, and then on the other side is the Starbucks. So I had gone across the way to a Starbucks, and I had tried to get a Starbucks, and she was like, I'm so sorry, your card declined. And I was like, what? And this was like my Chase card, which he had no like access to. So like, well, I thought he had no access to it. So it was like my very own Chase card that like my hair money went into. That was where like I was saving most of my money. If I needed anything to pay like bills for the house while we were in Las Vegas, I would just transfer it from that account. So I still had like my own account that he didn't have his name on. And I just looked it up. Like I literally still have the screenshots, but I went into my account and it literally said I had 96 cents to my name. Like, correct. And I was like, what? And then I see that there was all these transactions of like instant Zelle transfers to Dick. Yeah. And I was like, how did he even get in here? Um, I want to say that it was like 8,000, I think. Yeah. Because it was like four different transactions. It was four different transactions, and each transaction could only be done like in increments. So it was like 1,200, 1,200, 1,200, or maybe it was 2,200. But I remember the total was like somewhere around like 8,000. Because I remember thinking, like, if I need to, I can pay the Capital One card off and I'll be okay. It'll be tight because I literally won't have anything. But like if I pay it off, like I could I could work for a month, pay that off, and then I'll be fine. So,
He literally
yeah,
stole, like he actually literally stole money from you.
yeah, like he
And
went because I
not in
had
the coercive, manipulative, I'll pay you back
no,
way, which is like making us do it, right? And so then he can't
no,
get in trouble. He literally stole. Did you
yes,
call the police?
yes. So I went across the way to Chase Bank, and I'm like crying, like I'm like sobbing, I'm shaking, I'm like so nervous. My Chris was there at the salon, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I have to go across the street. Like, just block me out for a little bit. I'm sorry. Like, this is literally my first day. I can't buy myself a Starbucks. My ex is crazy, and he just drained my bank account. And Chris was like, okay, like, go, whatever.
Yeah.
So I go across the street to Chase. I'm sobbing. I like don't even know what to do. And he had, because all of my passwords were the same, he had instant Zelle transferred himself all of that money. And I was like, so what can you do? And he was like, there's nothing I can do because it was transferred from your account to another account. I can't go in that account and grab money out. And I'm like, call the fraud department. And he's like, the problem is that it did get, like, I did talk to the fraud department, and they were like, because it's coming straight from your account, logged in on your like information, like everything, it's no way to prove that it's not you. So we can do nothing about it.
Hmm. Uh, they just didn't want to.
Yeah.
I wonder what the statute of limitations is on that, because that's wild. Because it's over the amount. Uh, it's over the amount that makes it a felony, and also just
Mm.
going into someone's bank account without their knowledge, which also banks track like IPs and locations. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you're obviously
Yeah.
in Arizona and then it came from New York or even came from Las Vegas, that's very easily traced. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I go look on our joint account, and there was all of our money that we had in the joint account gone.
How much was that?
And I think it was like 3 or 4,000.
Okay.
So all of that was gone. And the way I justified it in my head was like, it's his money. Like he was working for that. The joint account was more so like his. So I wasn't as upset with that one, but I'm like, I'm still entitled to that because I've been the one paying the bills for the last, like, since February.
Yeah, it's like it's all yours because that would be partial of him paying you back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. So, then I go on the Capital One card and he had like spent even more on it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went home. I like wrote him this really long email and I basically
I
was
read it.
like, yeah, I was like trying to manipulate my way like into making him think that like I actually gave a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I don't want to act like I didn't. I did.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like all the way true. Like I tried to like use some of the lines that like he was using towards me, like with him. And I was just like, I cannot believe that you would do this to me. Like, you need to figure this out. Like, we have all these different bills together, and like, you need to pay this off, basically.
Cell phone too, right? That was something that I remember was like a thing.
Cell phone, Cox, the Best Buy payment, Winston, him going to New York and like having a shopping spree there. And then all of the money that he obviously had just taken. And for some reason, like he thought it was his. Like he's like, I just read some of the emails like when I was getting ready for this call, and I'm like, where in your mind did you think that my money from my bank account was yours? Like, where did you think that?
In the delusional
So
world definition.
I remember I called my dad, and my dad was like so livid. And I actually had run back to like one of my exes that I had was on and off again with for a while. And I knew that I needed to like keep my mind busy, and so I ran back to him, and I was like fighting with Dick a lot, trying to figure out how to get this to happen. And I had filled him in on this, like, I cannot believe this guy just did this to me, like, whatever. And he was pretty supportive, like, in that sense. He's a good guy. But so fast forward, like, maybe a month, because I don't know the exact timing of like when the Knights game was, but I remember that like I consistently was reaching out like, hey, this is due, and he'd be like, oh, I'm gonna send it, and then he never would. And then I'd be like, hey, happy Father's Day, like, you never sent this, you know, what account are you sending it to? And like it was just me constantly like trying to like, and then he would send like stupid things here and there, and he would say like, I miss you, I'm having a really hard time with this.
Oh.
And I'd be like, I miss you too, but like, you need to pay this. Like, I'm not having a conversation with you until you pay this. Or like, it was just like him trying to like get under my skin.
Yeah, like bringing up. I feel like I remember reading your thread of emails, and I'm sorry for the privacy breach, but he let me.
I don't care.
So, I remember your long email, and I remember not understanding the situation, but now you explained it. You're like, you were using his technique on him, which is exactly how you deal with a narcissist and a sociopath.
Yeah.
So good job for knowing that. But also I remember like there was stuff that he would say like, I just saw this and it made me think of you, or something like along those lines. And your response would literally be like, okay, so the AT&T bill and the this, and it was like you were just like dead, just flat aff, like, you know what I mean? Like you were all business. And okay, and he was like agreeing, like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. And then
then he never would.
Like, and he just never would. Did he ever send you any money or give you any of this money back?
I want to say maybe like a couple $100 here and there. It was really hard to get things transferred out. Like the Cox thing, that was really hard because he had to verbally take over it, but I could never get him on the phone. Like he never wanted to like take over it. So I got stuck paying that for a long time. Lifetime gym membership, I got stuck paying with that for a long time.
No way.
Um, and our phones, that was really hard. He had to like assume responsibility for his phone. Um, and
What about your apartment?
So I did pay it for a couple of months after, and then I had told our friend that I was working for like what had happened, and she had kind of started seeing things that because she was working out with him, and he had convinced her like, well, you need to just take steroids, and she was like, just don't tell my husband, and so it was like she had kind of started seeing those things, and she's like, he does this weird staring thing, like makes you feel like you're dumb. And like I would confide in her when we were having like arguments and things like that. And so she had really been through a lot of that like with me. But um I just remember like I had called her one day and I was like, I can't continue paying this and trying to pay off the Capital One card and like paying all this. Like, is there any way you can just take me off of the lease? Like, so that if it doesn't go, that my credit is not messed up. And she was like, I'll see what I can do.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, great. So tried to, um, we tried to, or she took me off. And I'm forever grateful for that because I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, that's a long time. Like we had just signed it in January and it was only May. Like it was a long time. So, um, I just remember like going to work and like telling my clients like what was going on and they'd be like, "What?" And even the ones that I was doing like while I was with Dick and like coming down from Las Vegas, they would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is like a movie." And they're
Hmm.
like, "How are you keeping your head above like the water?" And I was like, "You just do it. Like you have no other choice but then to keep it above water." Um but like Winston, he was like my little right hand man. And like I remember sending pictures to Dick of like things that he was doing because I was like, you should feel bad. Like
Yeah.
you totally abandoned him. But yeah, I mean, so all in all, I would say 8, 12. So probably close to like $30,000 did I have to get back. And then like my Capital One card, he had done it like over and it had a really high interest rate. It was like 27% interest because he like every time you didn't make a payment, it would like the interest would go up. And so it was like a penalty. And so I felt like I was just like digging a hole for like a long time, just like barely crawling out. Um, and oh yeah, so at one point I had decided I was like, this like the Mac computer that he had bought on my Best Buy card and the TV that he had bought on my Best Buy card.
Wait,
Um
he bought a Mac?
yeah.
Oh, is that what the Best Buy, that was the original thing that he wanted from Best Buy? Was it like,
Yeah,
was it a desktop? Was it a laptop?
it's a desktop. I'm literally looking at it right now. It's right over there.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good because
So,
he has my Mac desktop.
oh,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
like
No.
I'm like, wait a minute. He had another
So
one?
yeah. Yeah. No, so he had gotten one and then the TV and he wasn't making his payment and I was like I remember it had been a year since we had gotten it and if it wasn't paid off, that was the promotional balance. It's like a 0% interest if you pay it off within the year. If you don't pay it off within the year, you gain all of the interest that you would have gained over that time. And so that happened. Like I went and looked at it and I was like just sobbing because I'm like, I cannot get out of this hole. Like my Capital One, like even if I paid the interest plus like, whatever it was, like I was barely making it. Like I still had a dog. I still had to pay for the cable, like the rent, like I had
Right.
everything on my shoulders. And so, um, I had told my dad, and I told my like then guy, my ex-boyfriend, I was like, I need you to go up to Las Vegas with me and go get my MacBook and like my Mac and my TV. Like, if you're not going to pay for it, I will show you that I'm serious and you will pay for it.
Good for you.
So we drove up there, and I called the Las Vegas like non-emergency line, and because I didn't want, like, my ex, he would definitely fight.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want him and Dick fighting.
Dick would have, I almost said his name there. Wow, that would have been a first in a long time. Dick would have ran away. He doesn't
Yeah, probably.
fight. Yeah.
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 So I didn't want them fighting. So I met with the police officers at the Jamba Juice up the street and from the house, and they escorted me onto the property, and I still had my keys and my name was still on the lease. So I proved that I was able to enter the building, and he answers the door to the police officers, like, doesn't know that I'm there. And they like arrest him right there.
No,
And yeah, he didn't tell you this part?
I didn't know. I didn't know that he got arrested. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, they arrested him right there.
Did he have a
And
warrant
they're
or
like,
something
yeah, yeah.
for parking tickets?
I don't know. I never asked. I was just like, well, I didn't mean for that, because I know that he hates the police. And like, I did kind of feel bad, because I was like, well, but fuck around and find out. So,
Yeah, don't feel bad at all. He
yeah,
stole your money.
yeah. So I went in and I got my stuff, and I literally just took like my TV and the computer, because I'm like, well, you're not going to pay for it, so I'll make sure that I pay for it. And then I tried to like see if he had like any like cash laying around, which he never did, but I was still trying like to find something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then I like sent him this long email, and I was like, I didn't mean for that to happen today. Like, I do feel bad. And like, whatever, but like, this is me and I'm serious, and like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, if you're not going to pay for it, then it's not yours. And so I took it back, and then yeah, I don't know
Did you
if
leave?
then I saw, so I started making payments on the card, and then I saw that he took
Ambry?
Ambry out to the Knights game and like the thing, and then after that I was like, okay, I'm done. So he had logged, what happened was I had turned his card off, like I had locked his card so he couldn't use it. And then he logged back in, which is such a stupid thing on an app. Like, they've got to be able to figure out that part out. But like, me as I authorized him on there, so he's able to do whatever he pleases. And he requested a new card, but I didn't know that.
He did the
So he
same thing for
requested,
Ulta for me. Yeah.
yeah. So he requested a new card, and then that's how he was able to take Ambry. And then, so yeah, my credit card ended up being like $15,000. And then he stole like 8 from my like Chase Bank account, and then the 4 that was in the joint account, whatever that one was. I don't remember.
Did he take Ambry to the Knights game after he stole the 8,000 from you? Or was it before?
I don't know.
Not that it matters, but if he literally took your money and then you were working to pay off the card that he maxed out already, and you're getting the balance down after, you know what I mean? Like, after all of your money was taken directly from him, and then he did it, it all sucks. It's all illegal.
Yeah.
And he should go to jail and never be fucking let out ever. And like, but that would be so much worse. And I feel like, you know.
Yeah. I just remember thinking, like, no matter what I did, I felt like he was never actually going to be held accountable. Like, people were like, take him to small claims court, take him to this, like, take him to that. And I'm like, I just felt it in my gut that like it didn't matter what I did. Like he was never going to pay it. It was never going to be accountable. I even remember baby mama like reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, like I'm so sorry that this is happening." And um I was like keeping in contact with one of like Dick's friends that actually knew baby mama as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very similar to Dick, like kind of off a little bit. But I remember keeping in contact with him because he would like tell me what Dick was doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember like kind of like talking to him. And then I remember he said something to like baby mama, and then she got mad at me, and I don't even remember what it was. I remember it was something stupid. And I was like, well, okay, there goes that one. But
Yeah. I mean, I feel
yeah.
I always give her the most grace because I feel like out of everybody, she has gone through this
Oh,
with every
oh yeah.
single, like,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
she
the
has a
most
child
grace.
with him. And it's like, it's almost like the relentless pursuit from him. And I
Yeah.
just, like I said in the last episode, at some point I said it's maybe not out yet, but that one day I just hope that she hears this and
Yeah.
not baby mama because she listens, but
Yeah.
like I hope that his daughter hears it and like can know for certain what type of man that he is, and also like look at the women that all potentially could have been a bonus mom or whatever, right, and that loved you from like the very beginning when they saw your face or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I hope that is a byproduct of this, but holy shit, like
Yeah.
I I
That's
feel
why,
you
like,
on
I
all of the
remember
levels
talking to you
about,
on the phone and
yeah.
being like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. He
the
did that
money
too.
piece was a
Yep.
huge thing because like just like you, I was not a person who didn't pay my bills on time.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
I will never not pay my bills.
yeah,
I will
and
always figure it out.
it's weird to even now like being so I as of right now, like I quit my job so that I could pursue this like full time, and
Yeah.
I'm that was a choice. Um, but even prior to that, when I was working at the college, anything that came in would just go out, and it was going out basically to pay interest payments. And like me having to come to terms with having to like start filing for bankruptcy and
Yeah.
doing all of that stuff, I have learned through being with him and the experience, I have become comfortable in scarcity.
Yeah.
And it's fucking crazy because I hate it, because like, here's my mom being like, well, don't you like, how much money did you make this week? And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
good. I have this and save, like I'm
Yeah.
comfortable because I lived it for so long, and it's like this trauma response. And I know what you mean about so much. There's a few things that I remember that you said that I want to touch on. So one most recently that you said is like, you just felt like he would never be held accountable. And I, I feel that like literally to my core, because I always feel like someone is going to bail him out, or at least
Mm.
partially bail him out, to where whoever's pursuing the accountability or responsibility will just give up. And you know what?
Yeah.
That person will probably always be like Matt or the Hawaii sugar daddy or whatever. But
Yes.
I had to, he filed for divorce. So, most of this, he filed for divorce and he didn't serve me.
Yeah.
And I had no idea until he posted about
Yeah.
it. And then I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not going to allow it. But I didn't have money to fight him. So then I had to represent myself. Okay. So I go to court and I didn't do like one fucking thing right. And then all of my evidence
Yeah.
thrown away. So then the judge says, you have to pay for his attorney. And I'm like, I have to pay to divorce him now? Okay, that's wild. Come to find out, he never, besides a small retainer, never paid his attorney. And I lost my divorce case because he was able to hire an attorney, kind of, who literally represented him, and then he never paid. And I'm like, how does the legal system work that way? Where like, okay, like you can't take back a verdict, but you should be able to, because that's fucked
Yeah.
up. That person didn't get
Yeah.
paid, and I'm not paying them because I have to do bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Um, So I feel that because that's why I'm here, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like not just with him, but like with so many women out there who feel the exact same way, and men, whatever, that like you can't, you know how you hold them accountable is you stop hiding their secrets.
Yeah.
You stop keeping the peace, and you stop not speaking about like your trauma and everything else that you, and your
Yeah.
truth, because that's what they expect you to do, because they've pushed you around your whole relationship, and they will continue to push you around if you don't do something about it. And
Yeah.
the only thing you can do is talk, right? At the,
Yeah.
you know, in some instances, probably maybe you could do more, but the other thing that really just like struck me that you said was when you were talking about him leaving to New York and you going back, and you were like, I hate this place, and how you felt like being left there. I remember being in like the worst place mentally that I probably was besides being here. And he left me in Las Vegas and in Arizona. And I just remember
Mhm.
feeling like so fucking alone, and like I hated that feeling. And I'm glad that you were able to just hop in a car and like drive to your
Yeah.
family, because I wanted to do that so bad, and I wanted to like I needed like a hug, you know? And
Yeah.
but also I was embarrassed because I didn't want to tell anybody that this was going on.
Yes.
Because I also thought that he would come back and everything would be fine. So
Yeah.
it was like this weird teeter-totter between, do I wait it out even though like I feel like I'm dying, but
Yeah.
also he might come back and then everything will be okay, which is like the delusional part.
I remember too, like not wanting to tell like any of his friends that we were hanging out with, like what he was like really doing, because I almost wanted to like protect him.
Yeah, that's all I did.
And that was like so hard too. Like looking back, I still don't know if they know like how he really is.
I think that most of them have an idea. I think it's, I think that that one friend that you're talking about with the link and all of that, I
Mhm.
think that he has a real good idea, because I he doesn't really associate with him anymore.
Yeah, I've
I
noticed that.
actually I've never met that person ever.
Oh, he's so sweet. He's
Yeah,
like
and he seems
so
like it.
sweet.
You know, he seems like it, and I've just never met him. I tried to meet him a bunch of times, but it was always like like two ships passing in the night. We never.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the other thing that just stuck out, which is a weird similarity between all of these stories, um, is that there's always some kind of trauma that comes along with EDC. And
Yeah.
I don't, because when you said that he left you at home, dude, my heart sank, because I was like that was so hard for me. That was so fucking hard for me. And I can't even, you're like, oh, I've never gone. I want to go. And he's like, yeah, let's go shopping. And then picks a fight. And then literally is like, he
Yeah.
planned it. He planned to do that,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah. Oh
Just
yeah.
like he
Because then
planned
he had
to
outfits and like all the things, and I was like,
totally.
okay, suits you.
Yeah. One question I have for you is, how did, what was your and Matt's relationship like, if any, and like, how did he treat you?
Um, he was just like Matt. I don't know. I mean, we didn't really have like a close relationship, but I also like I kind of like typically keep people at like an arm's length, and unless like I feel like very comfortable with them. So I feel like I just kind of kept him at an arm's length. But I do remember for a little bit like they were building the house that I don't know if Matt still lives in that house, but
The gigantic
they were
one?
building, is it what?
The gigantic, the huge one?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
He doesn't
So
live
they
there
were
anymore,
like,
but
he doesn't.
no, he rents a house.
Okay. Um Yeah, but he was like, "Oh, you guys should get married here."
Yeah,
And so for a little bit, like Dick was trying to plan the wedding there, and I just was like, "No," because he's so flaky. Like I'm not,
the
and
most.
like I didn't really care for his dad, like who his dad was. So I was like, "Nah, I'm good." But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really think that like. I mean, I've been around gay people my whole life. Like I did music, and a lot of like my friends are gay, so it wasn't like anything weird for me to be hanging out with like another gay guy. I just kind of was like, whatever.
But it's strange that
But he was
it's your
annoying.
fiance's best friend and he's perpetually with him all the time.
Yeah, he's just like extremely annoying. Like everything that he says, I'm like, I actually cannot stand you. Like,
yeah. I know every single time, like, I just think of him, or like, I'm like, ugh. Like, you're just,
yeah.
and yeah. Gross.
Yeah. I do want to know, like, what did he tell you about, like, what was his version of the story?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about like what he said was like the catalyst that. So he told me that you just left him and that you took everything, including Cartier earrings and his bulldog and money, and that he like basically never heard from you again. Like there was not even like a she left because she ran away with someone, or she left because I cheated on her, or there wasn't a reason for, as far as I can remember, that he told me why you had left. Not that I remember, but I just for certain know that he said that when he was gone or out of the house or something, that you packed up like your entire house and took it to Arizona, and he was left with nothing and he had to rebuild his life. Yeah.
Interesting. I do remember seeing at one point, like, you had posted that you had gotten him like a piano, and I was like, that's really interesting because, like, I sing and he sings, but he has a horrible voice. And I remember trying to be like, I remember like trying to sing like with him, and he would play the piano and I would like sing. But he like, we bought this like old piano and then we like painted it,
Did
and
he paint it gray?
yeah.
Oh my God, he had it on his patio in Phoenix. It has wheels on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on his patio. It was like outside on his patio. And I was like, why the fuck do you have a piano on
The
outside? Like,
patio.
because it was wood. And I was like, that's strange. And
Yeah, it was like an
he told me
upright
that he got
piano.
it. He said that he got it from a resale place.
No. No, I mean, we like bought it from somebody. I don't remember who, but we like got it off of like, I think he was like, I just want to, like, I want a piano and they're so expensive. And he was like, why don't we just go get one from Facebook Marketplace? So I think that's where we bought it off of. And then he was like, I don't like the color of it. Like, let's get it to match the house. And the house was like kind of like a grayish tones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you,
That was the other thing. He bought like furniture. That was another one that he bought.
did he buy like a couch, like a gray, like modular couch?
Yeah.
He bought that with your credit card?
I bought that.
You bought
On my
that?
credit card. Yeah.
Oh, I wish he would have told me all of this stuff before, dude, because I literally had that couch up until we moved to Las Vegas. Like, and I gave it away because I couldn't, I'm like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
He told me that the Hawaii sugar daddy bought that couch.
No, it's like gray, like a.
Yeah. And it could be it can be like almost like a.
You could shape it kind of like however you wanted. Like they
Like
didn't
a
all have to go
full-size
together.
bed,
Yeah.
kind of, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I actually loved that couch. I thought that couch
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we bought
Holy
that.
shit. What else?
Well, I
What
bought
else
that.
did you buy? Did you buy like the white, like entertainment thing that hung on the wall? Like it was like a hovering shelf, but it opened. Trying to think
From
what else.
IKEA?
Yes.
Yes.
The one. You're lying.
Yeah.
What about the gray nightstands that looked like they're for little kids' rooms? Like they had like
I
glass.
don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm trying to think of what else he really had. I mean, he had the sleep number bed, but now talking with Ambry that
So
was
it's weird because
purchased.
he didn't have a sleep number bed when I was with him.
Okay, so he got the sleep number bed when he was with Ambry.
Okay, yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't remember sleep
I
number
thought that
bed.
it was before that. I thought it was before, but then I thought it was in Phoenix. I don't even know. Fuck that bed.
Mm.
That bed is
Yeah.
literally the core of all my fucking problems. Seriously. I hate that bed. And you want to know something too? And this might be crass and disgusting for all of the male listeners, but like I'm fucking so happy that I got my period multiple times on that bed because every single person has to see so many Amanda bloodstains
Yeah, that's
And so
right.
does he every
Yeah.
time.
God
Fuck
damn it.
him.
Yeah, fuck
Ugh.
him.
And also, like, it one side says my side, and it will forever say my side because I'm not fucking changing it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
no. Yeah, that's just so wild. I mean, the only other thing that he had, I mean, it was like kitchen stuff and like, but it was like very mismatchy.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of like fake succulents and like little fake plant things that were like really small
Yeah,
and
we
like
didn't really have those. But
bar
it's weird that he
stool.
said that he didn't have Cartier earrings because or that I stole those because he's never, like, that
Never
was
had
never,
Cartier. Yeah.
I don't, yeah. I'm like, I don't even think that he's ever worn those. Like, I don't even think he wore earrings when we were together. I mean, maybe he did, but I don't know.
Yeah, he said, this was when you talked about Winston. So it always blew my mind. Dude, these titties are just too much. I can't take it. It always blew my mind when he told me that he bought Winston because he had talked about previously having a bulldog named Blue that he had gotten from a breeder. And then he like, it was too much for him to handle. And so he literally like gave the dog back to the breeder. He says. And so I didn't like, did you know about that? Or
Mm-mm.
no? There's like picture. What does Winston look like? Is he all white?
He's white, yeah.
He's white. I think that this one was like Merle, like a maybe like a 10
Mm.
point Merle. Like it was
Yeah,
a really
no. Winston
expensive
was
one, but
white, but he's, yeah.
do you
He's,
still have him?
I don't personally have him, but my parents do because when I got pregnant, he like lost his mind. So
Yeah. Well,
he was trying to
you're
like attack.
he's got to protect you. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's so crazy. I'm glad that you took him because I
Oh yeah. Like he was literally going to leave him in the house without anything for like days. If he
Dick
was
is
even
such
coming
a
back at like
Dick
4
is
days
such a
from then.
horrible person, and I always like I told my mom this like the other day. I was like, if I ever go back to school and get my PhD, like I'm literally going to do my dissertation on like the connection between um like people who like abuse animals and
Mm-hmm.
children and how they become serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like it's the starting point, you know? And it also starts from sex work and porn too. Like there's a serious connection
Mm.
there. And like no one can tell the future, but like there's a lot of evidence that like if you continue to if you do the same thing, like it gets boring and then you move on to the next, like I, and he's violent,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like he's
Yeah.
so
Extremely.
violent.
Yeah.
So yeah, like who knows if he doesn't end up in jail, like he should 100% go to jail for definitely what he did to you, but like he never took, besides my paycheck that he like lost on ping pong, like he never took money without my permission. It was him having money like our like if his like on a thing that was not with his name on it. Like his name was always on the credit card so he could.
Yeah.
It was always on a shared account because I felt like if I was all in that he would see that and he would never leave me, you know,
Yeah.
because so it seems like you were the person that wanted to go, like you were like the leaver, but rightfully so.
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's very different in like our relationship because I didn't really want to leave when we fought. I wanted him not to leave. So I just thought that would make him stay. But again,
Look,
like,
literally, this is it.
well, you should save those because I mean, I
Where he
don't.
left me with 96 cents to my name.
The thing is like, obviously, even where I'm at, and it's only been a year, but definitely where you're at and where everybody else is at, it's like, it's not about the money. It's not
Yeah.
about, you know, any of that. It's about that somebody has been able to do this to so many people and literally financially ruin them and get away with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about,
And have
you know,
no repercussion.
no repercussions. What about
Yes.
like he's actively with somebody and
Hmm.
manipulating them with a fucking horrible tattoo? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I just, when does it stop? And yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah. I don't know either, but I'm glad that you started sharing your story because I feel like it's helped like compel so many other people to share their story. And even if it just helps one person, it's still one person that you helped. So
Yeah.
his karma will come one day.
One day.
One day.
100%.
That's all we can hope for, honestly, is one day. You know what's funny? Because he's like blocked on like any of my social media, but I had like unblocked him for a second to see like when the last time I had heard from him was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like blocking him because he had like commented on a picture of me that I posted when I was pregnant in 2020. So he was probably with you.
We met June of 2021.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no, he wasn't with you. And
He
he
was
was like,
he was with a different person then, but yeah.
yeah. But I was like, that's interesting because I'm literally pregnant. Okay, and weird thing. Can we talk about this for a second? I don't know when he would have told like Ambry or like sent her a picture of a ring, but like, is that ring like literally not so identical to mine? Like, did he see a picture of my ring and then think that he needed to find one that like looks like that?
So I'm trying to think about like timeline on when did you get engaged?
2020.
So obviously Ambry was before me, and like if let's say a month after the Knights game, he showed her that ring. And
Oh,
then
okay. So no.
literally one day after meeting, like I slept over and then I came back, I think the next day or whatever. And he was like, I think this is the ring. And I was like, that's really nice, like, okay. But yeah, it was so crazy when she said that because I was like, I remember him replying with that so fast, like he had it on deck. And I was like, that's so strange. But then it clicked for me
Weird.
and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, and then I literally left myself a note in the last podcast because I was like, oh, fuck, Savannah, bring that up. So Ambry said that when she first started talking to him and whatever, that he alluded that like before he met her, that he was seeing 5 or 6 different women.
When
And
did they start talking?
I think that they met it was around Valentine's Day of that year, because she had said that she had gone with her friend to like a Dan Bilzerian like Valentine's Day like house party thing, and then she was in Vegas, and this was like a mutual friend of his, and that's how they met. So it was around that time. So February of what year was that? 2018?
2019?
2019?
2018? 2018.
Yeah, 2018. And then so you didn't end up leaving until like officially you were done at what month?
May, I think.
May. And hockey is like not like playoffs are now. So May into June, like the beginning of June
June.
would be Stanley Cup. Like if it was a final game, like actually the cup instead of like the semi or quarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why it's super weird to me, because I was like, wait, what? You said he was seeing 5 or 6 people? Because he
Yeah,
was
I
like
do remember hearing
engaged.
that on the last episode.
And like
Yeah.
he was engaged and she didn't even know that.
And it's not like he wasn't not posting me. Like I was literally all over his social media. Even when he posted Lacey, like I was still all over his social media. And I just remember her commenting on it and was like, "Oh, it was so nice meeting you."
I mean,
But I was like, "What?"
I don't necessarily even know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he posted, like if he was like fanboying,
Oh,
and
I'm
like,
sure he was. I
yeah, because
absolutely think he
it
was.
just seemed like it, because it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like
No,
he was like really like trying really hard to be like, oh, look who I saw, blah, 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 blah. And
yeah.
it's like, shut up and put your shirt back on with your short teeth.
Yes.
Like, I can't. I sorry, I know. I just have to sneak little insults in because I'm just like, I know he hated his teeth back then, and all of the pictures that he loves of himself have short teeth. So I'm
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
thank you for just sharing everything. Like I know that like you have a pretty big online presence already, and I feel like, well, a lot of your followers like know about specific things about the story. Like I think it's a new way to like let them in and connect with you. And I think that
Yeah.
that's really good because each of us have such different stories, but they all align too. And
Yeah.
I think like I said to somebody in like a YouTube comment or something, he's like, he definitely has a type. And I'm like, well, I'm about to throw a hot little blonde wrench into that machine because
Yes,
you know
I
what I
saw
mean?
that
Like,
comment.
yeah, like it's everybody who was chosen to share up until you, um, brunette. But
Yeah.
what people don't know is that trickled in between are all of the blondes and the redheads
Yeah.
and all of the
Yeah.
people that have decided to not share or can't or whatever it is. So it
Yeah.
really isn't like he's, you know, brunette, like, no, it's all across the board. And
Yeah.
I mean, all across different sexualities. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to get that call on the day that you were driving back because you got a job where you would eventually
Yeah.
marry your boss, which I think is like super like fairy tale-esque that some people are like, oh. So that's awesome. And I like I know that it may not always feel like it's like a success story because you remember what you went through, but from the outside, it's
Yeah.
inspirational to people who obviously have gone through like
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. And to know that, right, that it seems like he's like the kiss of death and also like, hey, after you're going to be okay and the best version of
Yeah.
yourself. So that was always optimistic to see from my perspective and just how much of like a loving mother you are to your children and your stepchildren and like your relationship with all of them and your husband is like just so filled with love. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, I think
I was
that,
actually just having this conversation with my husband. Like, he was kind of in a tumultuous relationship prior to me as well. And I just told him, I said, it, I would go through what I went through with Dick a million times if I knew that my outcome was going to be like him and the life that I have now.
yeah,
Just to be with somebody like so loving, and you always like think like of this fairy tale like version of like what you've always dreamed of, or like this dream man just coming in and like sweeping you off your feet. And honestly, I just feel like that is why I wanted to share the most, is that like there is a success story after you can be like literally in the freaking trenches.
yeah.
So that is like a lot of why I wanted to share, and just like know that like one day it's not going to hurt anymore, and like one day you'll wake up and it will be great. It won't hurt.
Isn't it amazing to be able to say that you would do it again? Because
Oh yeah.
I I am at the point now where I say like I know that I had to go through that for
Yeah,
me to be who I am right now, and I probably would have been
absolutely.
in purgatory of who Amanda is if I didn't, because
Absolutely.
I would have had to have met another Dick, you know,
Yeah.
like in order for me
Yeah.
to have elevated myself. So I know that there's people listening that are in literally like the thick of it, and it sucks, but
It does
don't keep it
suck, but
don't keep it to
honestly,
yourself. Talk about it. Like,
yes. I think that's what helped me. Like, as a living, I'm literally a hairstylist. So I just talk to people about it every single day. And talking about it always like made me come to terms with it. And like people giving you different ideas of like how to reconcile it, or like how to just move on past it, or the best way to go about paying it off, or
mhm.
things like that. And I just remember like I really leaned on like my clients and the people around me like in those moments. And literally like when I met my now husband, I was leaving the devil, truthfully.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not like actual true divine intervention, like I don't know what is. Like
No, yeah, like I
you
literally
could
don't
be
know what else is.
religiously manipulated by Dick,
Yeah.
and hey, this is God's plan. It's like, bro, God, he's not
Yeah.
looking out for you, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point, and I think you know everybody should have hope. But when you feel hopeless and you feel depressed and somebody is making you feel this way, just know that there's people out there that care about you. And like my DMs are always open, at least for now. And like
Mine are always open.
I'll always be there to like give somebody like the advice or like the girl power. So because I needed that and I didn't have it. And I'm so thankful that I decided to take the jump and again, reach out to you because you've been such a fucking great friend that like, you know, it's insane that I had to go through what I had to go through to meet all of the women that like, weirdly enough, also my ex-husband has slept with, but like, it's like I have the weirdest group of friends now and I love it. And yeah. So thank you.
We're girls.
Yeah, always. And hey, I'm coming to Arizona in July for like a podcast thing for like that sugar daddy, like Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast episode they did. They're doing like a meetup thing. And
how fun!
So I'm gonna end up going and we're gonna see Hootie and the Blowfish and like do all this fun stuff.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Yeah, so I'll be there. And yeah, we finally have to connect and like get together and have drinks and dance or something like that. So
okay, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, have fun at your dinner tonight and your family's beautiful. And obviously we'll stay in touch. But yeah, thank you so much. And
well, thanks for having me.
Of course.
I love you. I'll see you later.
See you later, girlfriend.
Bye.
Bye.
It's not over yet till you taste regret. It's not over yet.